Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies and gents, we did a video exactly 10 days ago. And that video, well, actually 9, but anyway, that video was talking about how much of a genius I is. Now, some people would beg to differ, and they would have to beg. Indeed, they would have to beg. But let me go ahead and prove it, ladies and gentlemen. It involves this equitable redemption tender of payment contract. See, the contract is in the instrument. The tender of payment is in the instrument. But it also does an assignment or a fiduciary appointment, i.e. called an assignment. And this assignment, it also creates a special relationship, i.e. express trust agreement. And to top it all off, this simple little document has an arbitration clause and caveat. That's what this thing does. Now, to show you why this was so important is because of this law right here, 12 USC 411. Now, many people who've been around for a while, give me 1 second. We need to go here. Many people who've been around for a while know what 12 USC 411 talks about. So let me show you why this instrument is so instrumental. Oh, and by the way, we're playing an instrumental in the background. So instrumental, you see, oh, okay, sorry. Now, we don't care about all these other sites. We're going to go to Cornell because Cornell is the official site for the posting of the US codes. So they just got it like that, y'all. Okay, so let's scroll down. Issuance to reserved banks. Nature of obligation, redemption. Let's find out nature of obligation. Now, pay attention. It says Federal Reserve notes. Hold on, so that y'all get it. Federal Reserve notes to be issued at the discretion of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System for the purpose of making advancements to Federal Reserve banks through the Federal Reserve agents, as hereinafter set forth, and for no other purpose are authorized. The said notes are obligations of the United States. Hold on now. This is where you need to pay attention. Because you need to understand that if it's an obligations, shall be obligations, okay? Remember that all property is owned by the state by virtue of government. And that the monies are issued and are credits. And they're backed by the credits of the nation. They are referred to as government obligations. Well, because there is no money, they took money out of the system. We'll talk about that in a quick second, because we got to show all of this to you so you'll get it. But because they are government obligations, this is what you do with a government obligations. Shall be receivable by all national and member banks and or Federal Reserve banks for all taxes, customs, and other public dues. They shall be redeemable in lawful money, credit, on demand at the Treasury. How do we know lawful money is credit? Well, because the full faith and credit of the United States is how everything is backed and paid for. Full faith and credit. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Before I go on, you all, this is 10 hours of instrumental, and I'm going to take this 10 hours of instrumental and I'm going to download this 10 hours of instrumental. Because the video is not a video, I'm going to just do the instrumental because it's just this as the backdrop. That doesn't help me. I need the full unadulterated version, so I need the instrumental. So just hit that right there. Well, I gotta wait for that to finish, so while that's doing that, we can get back to this explaining to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, the way things work out is that there is no money. Yes, you'll hear things like lawful money, but they took money out of the system. The United States is in bankruptcy. You can't have money while you're bankrupt. You got to pay your creditors. So when was the last time you heard the United States paying off its creditors? But it has a lot of debtors. But you notice how all of the United States debtors, the nations that are indebted to the United States, are also indebted to other nations? That's the system they created. Every nation is indebted to every other nation. So no one can ever get out of debt. Even China is now reporting its debts. Okay? China is now reporting its debts. Wait a minute. This is 1 gigabyte. We can download the music where it's just the music. Yeah, we'll do this. That's 500 megabytes. So I can do that. It's just the music, no video. Well, anyway, every nation is indebted to every other nation. So how can any nation pay off the other nation? Well, why don't they just offset each other's debt? No, because if they offset each other's debt, the system doesn't keep running. They have a mechanism put in place, a policy put in place, a procedure put in place to keep them from offsetting each other's debt. However, pay attention, not with us. Now wait, hold on. I put a D, UD, as opposed to of. I don't know why I do that, but I do it often. Ladies and gentlemen, what I put in was a quote from the March 9th, 1933 Act. This is where we are going right here. Okay, Stop the Pirates has it too. Let's go to Stop the Pirates. You know, Stop the Pirates has often referred people to us and to our information. So why don't we do the same? Stop the Pirates has been doing a lot of things, helping people, especially with debt. So if you guys are familiar with the people who run Stop the Pirates, let them know about the redemption document that we created. But pay attention to this. We don't care about the United States meaning a federal corporation. What we care about is the Bankruptcy Act declared by the president. Now this is 100% correct. Okay, all of this information is 100% correct. On March 9th, the new money, paper promissory notes. Okay, well, there's another new money, and it's dollar bills. Okay, is issued to the banks in return for government obligations. Government obligations, pay attention. Bills of exchange. Bills of exchange in return for government obligation. Bills of exchange, not government bills of exchange, but for bills of exchange, drafts, notes, trade acceptance, and bankers' acceptances. The new money, credit, not promissory notes, credit, will be worth 100 cents on a dollar because it is backed by the credit of the nation. You can't back the credit paper with the credit of the nation. Paper has no value. It has to be something of equal value in order for it to be exchangeable. Remember, it's called an exchange, and it's 100 cents on a dollar, so it's an even exchange. So it has to be credit for credit. Shh! Don't tell nobody that. It's an exchange. It's 100 cents on a dollar. It is credit for credit, people. It is dollar for dollar, exactly what the Act says. What Act? HR 192, the Gold Abrogation Act, says it's supposed to be exchanged dollar for dollar, and whatever coin or currency which is in circulation in the United States at the time. Go back and look. They're telling you everything. It will represent a mortgage on all the homes and all the other property of all the people. Well, your contracts are property. Okay? Your contracts are property. Got to get the page back. Sorry about that. Forgot I can't use that. Okay. The property of all the people of the nation. All right. May 1st, 1933, gold was transferred from the United States citizens to the United States by Executive Order 6102. Okay, this right here, and look, mitigate charges to prevent from being hung for treason. Congress passed, don't worry about that hung for treason. Okay, McFadden was not a part of this, people. You need to go back and look at the questions he's asking. He was the one going after the Federal Reserve. So McFadden, see, to mitigate McFadden's charges. Oh, no, they're right. Okay, I'm sorry. To mitigate McFadden's charges, because McFadden was saying that what they were doing was wrong. Congress passed the House Joint Resolution to provide the United States citizen with the right to set off their obligation. Now, I can't go by the rest of it because I can't confirm the rest of it because I haven't read it before. But this is just to let you know about the 100 cents on the dollar. If you go and you read the act, it literally says that. To let you know about government obligations. Pay attention. It says the new money. Don't worry about that. That's these guys adding that. Is issued to the banks in return for government obligations. So guess what we're doing? We're issuing the new money. What's the new money? Hold on a second. I'm going to show you, okay, buddy? There's the new money. There's the new money. There's a letter of credit. See? Equitable remittance coupon. Credit by a non-taxpayer at par. Excuse me? Credit by a non-taxpayer in par. $80,000 in certified credit by a non-taxpayer at par. And we pledge or pay it to the order of without recourse. We put the contract number here because this item is directly associated with this contract. Okay? All the rest of it is self-explanatory. You put the so-called property or the account number there on the memo line. Okay? So the remedy provided by government for discharging government obligations is 12 U.S.C. 411, and I elect to use such a remedy. Government obligations are to be redeemed through the Treasury Department. So what did we do? Well, pay attention. The above United States obligation is hereby accepted and acknowledged, and I do assign and pledge the total value of the obligation to the United States of America through the United States Department of the Treasury to be redeemed for value and receivable at the Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve Bank, and or any member and or national association as prescribed by statute. See these acts right here. Okay, I'm writing this not because I went to stop the pirates, but because I actually read these acts, people. You've seen the videos. And the intentions of the United States Congress concerning the current serious national emergency, and credited to the grantor's account. Who's the grantor? That's you. Your name and address go there. You the grantor. Okay? Now pay attention so that you get it. We do a notice of assignment. So let me show you the notice of assignment. Like I told you, it is ingenious. You are hereby notified that I do hereby tender payment for the referenced obligation of debt. And because this debt concerns property of the United States, it is deemed by law and operation of statute to be a government obligations and must be handled in accord with the dictates of statute. I accept the obligation on and in behalf of the United States of America because nobody has been accepting anything on behalf of America. Well, I accept it on behalf of the United States of America as being one of the people, and I hereby make assignment of the obligation to the United States Department of the Treasury, creating a special express trust relationship on and in behalf of the United States of America as authorized by statute and trust law. You are to present the item, remittance coupon, to the United States Treasury Department and or any Federal Reserve Bank, to include any Federal Reserve membered bank, to redeem the value of the obligation, 12 U.S.C. 411, directing an immediate credit for value to my account. Okay, we are doing an assignment, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing an equitable assignment. Pay attention. Equitable redemption assignment. Redemption? You didn't say nothing about redemption. What you talking about? You didn't say nothing about redemption. You didn't say nothing about redemption. Hold on. You didn't say nothing about redemption. Wait, you didn't say nothing about redemption. You didn't say nothing about nobody's redemption. Okay, so let me show y'all. That's what says redemption. Now, because you guys don't know that the Treasury was there to exercise your equitable right of redemption, let me prove it to you. Okay, because some of you guys are not seeing the forest. There are too many trees in your way. So we're going to move these trees out of your way, okay? Watch this. I just want y'all to stay with me because some of you guys, we're going to try to keep this short, but some of you guys are not getting it. Okay, we don't need this right here. We got to go back. Sorry, we'll come back to this in a minute. As a matter of fact, we can go to chapter 8. How did you find that? We simply put, it shall represent a mortgage on all the property of all the people of the United States of America. That's how I found it. Now, pay attention, people. I need you all to pay attention to what's going on. The said notes shall be obligations of the United States and shall be receivable at all. Hold on. I didn't do that. It did that on its own. Go back. I told y'all we can go to chapter 8, but in other words, it should represent a mortgage on all the property, all of the property and of the people of the United States. That's what got me that page. All right. Pay attention. Shall be receivable by all national and member banks and Federal Reserve banks for all taxes, dues, and public. They shall be redeemed. It's called redemption value, people. Redeemed. It is equitable redemption. All I had to do was see that Chase case where Mr. Wade Chase and Mr. Burt had their little case in Alabama. They told you everything in that case. It's all there. Okay, so because they talk about your right of equitable redemption, okay, we're doing equitable redemption. See, equitable remittance coupon, and we're talking about redeeming. As per the terms of this contract, this shall serve as my notice of change in terms of contract, canceling and or suspending any acceleration and or associated penalties in paying the United States government debt instrument obligations for value through acceptance, pledging an assignment in full, and shall act as my redemption under statute and in equity. So we're doing a statutory redemption and an equitable redemption. We're covering both fields, ladies and gentlemen. As I told you, we could keep this document to ourselves, but why? We could sit up here and make funds off it by ourselves, but why? But because we said that we're doing an assignment to the United States Treasury, ladies and gentlemen, you have to send a copy of this contract to the Treasury. But I have several different people that we got debts with, and we just setting up. Yes, you got to send it for each one of those accounts. That's what this is about, ladies and gentlemen. So we told you before that you had to send it out, but you're going to add the Treasury's name up here. You're going to send it to the Treasury as well. You're not going to CC the Treasury. I would have suggested you CC the Treasury, but you're not going to CC the Treasury. You're going to send it to the Treasury as well. Now remember, you don't send the original to the Treasury. You're going to sign two of these documents. One of them is going to have an original signature, and then another one's going to have an original signature, and everyone after that is going to have just the copy of the signature. The ones that have the original signature, you're going to send to the bank. One of them that have the original signature, you're going to send it to the bank. And what I mean by original signature, I mean, pay attention. I want y'all to see, because some of y'all ain't going to get it, and I'm trying to make sure I be crystal clear. Only one of these will have an original signature. The other one, you will put copy. Or you will make a copy of the one that has the original signature. That's why I said you're going to have two that's going to have an original signature. So you're going to sign both contracts. You're going to print up two copies. You're going to sign both. Okay? You're going to sign it on this line. You're going to sign it at the very bottom. What you mean sign it at the very bottom? Right here. Right there. You're going to sign it at the very bottom. Okay? So, but when you sign this, and don't forget to sign this, many of you guys going to send an endorsement without the authorization signature. Need the authorization signature. Okay? Because they need directions. So they need to be authorized. Well, the signature at the bottom says, don't play them games with me. Don't get technical, because they'll get just as technical. The one you send to the original lender has to have an original signature. Now remember, you cannot send two of these out with two original signatures. You need to understand, you cannot send two of these out with two original signatures. The original you send to them, pay attention, this is going to have an original signature, and then when you send it to that bank with the original signature, you're going to put, watch this, okay? And that's it. On the one you send to the bank that has the original signature, you're going to either type it here, copy, or, no, let's just go ahead and just get rid of all that typing. You're going to put copy there and type, or you're going to put copy there by pen. But the one you send to the creditor, the one who the debt is owed, but what if it's like 3 different creditors? Nope, you have to send this to each different creditor separately. And the one you send to the treasury will have copy on it as well, but it'll have a copy of the one that was sent to the bank. And then you will keep the original yourself. You do not send an original contract to nobody. Pay attention. You do not send the original contract to nobody. So you're going to make the first copy. Follow me. These are the instructions. So this is the 21-minute 25-second mark. 21:25. Just remember that. You're going to fill out the document. All the spaces that are yellow, you're going to delete that and put in the correct information, deleting the yellow highlight. Your document should have no yellow highlights on it. You're going to change the date to match the date that it's supposed to be. You're going to put the lender's name and your name where they're supposed to be. Then you're going to put the account number and the account information here where it says RE, reference. Just that simple, nothing complicated. The account number, the account name here. So in other words, reference the account number, anything that can tell them where the account is. Then you're going to put your name, your address, your information here. You're going to put your contract number here. And then you're also going to put your contract number. There are 2 spaces for your, or 3 spaces, okay, for your contract number. You got one there, one, oh, we didn't put it at the top. Okay, so you're good there. The other document has it at the top. So one there, and I think did we put it here? Yep, one there. And one all the way down there. So those are the spaces where you're going to put the contract number. Okay? The other contracts have 4 spots. This one only has 3. Then you put the dollar amount. You put the name of the company. Leave that without recourse because that's the endorsement. You put the account number here again because this is separate from the rest of the document. It's a coupon. Coupon. You put the correct date. You sign this one. And then you sign the bottom. After you sign this one, you mark it original, put it off to the side. You copy it, mark it original, put it to the side. Now, wait a minute. Before you do that, remember I said you got to change everything in yellow. So that, and this spot right here, this is not yellow. So you're going to change this too because you're going to enter the dollar amount that for the agreement. And then you're going to enter the amount demanded is 3 times the value of the original contract. And then you're going to delete all of this information, these instructions, delete that and just put the information that go there. No highlights. Okay, you can bold it if you want, but no highlights. And if I was you, I wouldn't bold it. There's no reason for you to make it bold or highlight it. Just leave it the way it is. Okay, then you're going to put the contract number there. You're just going to go through the whole document. First, you're just going to replace this information first. Before you read the document, replace the information first. Then you're going to put your name. And if you are a woman, you put, I'm every woman. It's all in me. I'm sorry, my bad. You're going to put that you're a natural woman. If you are a man, then you're going to put you're a natural man. If you're one of them other things, remember, you can't be something in between. in nature. Nature only produces male or female. Unless you're hermaphrodite. No, that's not nature. That's an abnormal. You know what I mean? So it's either man or woman. You need to follow the script. Why? Because the law only recognizes the natural man or woman. See, an adult, a transgender person, these are all statutory creatures. I know. But it's okay. Some of you gonna do what you want to do, knock yourselves out. But you gotta remember, people, they pay attention to my videos. They listen to these too. They start using the very same understanding because, see, they weren't picking up on a lot of this. And I wasn't going to mention certain things on video, but I have no choice because eventually they're going to pick up on it and they're going to try to cut you off at the path. And if I don't explain it to you, you won't understand it. This is where they're going to come. So I have to cover it at the beginning. Then you put the contract number here. Now, after you fill in everything else, you got rid of all the yellow spots. You're going to go back and look to make sure you got rid of all your eczemas, your yellow spots. Okay. Now you go over the document. If you want to add another proof of claim, okay, like this says, proof of claim that in the administration of all government business, economy had become urgent because the lessening revenues and the heavy obligations to be issued in the hopes of revealing widespread distress, Congress was without the power to reduce expenditures by abrogating contractual obligations of the United States. To abrogate contracts in an attempt to lessen government expenditures would be not the practice of economy, but an act of repudiation, and that any act or attempt on the part to invalidate this contract would amount to the same repudiation. So you can ask such questions, but we are letting you know that this is the Supreme Court that we took this from. This is the United States Treasury that we got this from. In pertinent portion, the law applies to the Congressional Act of 1965, specifically Section 31 U.S. Code 5103, entitled Legal Tender, which states the United States coins and currencies, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes of the Federal Reserve Bank and national banks, are legal tender. Federal Reserve notes are not redeemable in any commodity and receive no backing by anything. This has been the case since 1933. The notes have no value for themselves. This is a direct quote. Okay? Now look, I've never been here, but let's see if this says the same thing. Copy. Because you might as well use the act. But it's a direct quote from that law. We're going to go to, because I want that Chapter 8 thing to pop up on my screen in the future. Come on now. Okay, legal tender. Uh-oh. United States currency. Hold on, y'all. I ain't seen this before. Legal tender. United States coins and currencies, including Federal Reserve notes, circulating notes of the Federal Reserve Bank and national banks, are legal tender for all debts, public dues, charges, taxes, and... Now remember, it says Federal Reserve notes. The law said Federal Reserve Bank notes. We ain't got time to be showing y'all that. Okay, our legal tender for all debts, public silver coins. Okay, foreign gold or silver coins are not legal tender for debts. Foreign gold. How can you have foreign gold? All gold comes from the earth. How can you have foreign gold? Oh, scientific gold? Okay, so when the Treasury tells us that their junk ain't worth anything, that it's worth less, here it is right here. Legal tender status. Look, you just put this in here and you'll pull up legal tender status. That's how you find the Treasury paper. Okay? Now, you got to go to paragraph number 3. Then we'll get back to explaining how you're going to pay off the debt, ladies and gentlemen. This right here, this paragraph right here. Federal Reserve notes are not redeemable in gold, silver, or any other commodity, and receive no backing by anything. That has been the case. This has been the case since 1933. The notes have no value for themselves. Okay, now hold on. If they have no value, how can they buy anything? We live on an equal exchange, dollar for dollar system. Okay? In another sense, because they are legal tender, Federal Reserve notes are backed by all the goods and services of the economy. Okay, statutory interpretation. Okay, statutory interpretation says if the second contradicts the first, then you ignore the second. Okay, they said they have no backing by anything. Federal Reserve notes in another sense. What sense? Nonsense? Pay attention. In another sense. Nonsense. Nonsense because it doesn't agree. So it's nonsense. It is nonsense because they are not legal tender. Federal Reserve notes are not backed by anything because they are not backed by anything. Goods and services of the economy. Where in law does it say goods and services have value? Exactly. So Federal Reserve notes have no backing. Now because, pay attention ladies and gentlemen, because they have no backing, because their junk have no backing, the only thing that backs it is credit. Okay, because it is backed by credit, you're issuing an instrument of credit. Now you're telling them, take it or leave it. That's what the contract does. Oh, but before you take it or leave it, you must answer these questions. You have an obligation because we have an agreement with each other and you're trying to extort me. So you must answer these questions, okay? Because the law of contract, restatement of contract second, or restatement of second contract says that you must communicate, especially when it comes to the accounting. Okay, then you give them a payment in credit telling them to redeem it at the treasury, and then you do a notice of assignment of the equitable rights associated with this debt to the treasury. Not all of your equitable rights. No, you're not assigning all of your equitable rights of your estate. No, only associated with this. Watch this. Where's that treasury assignment? No, not there. It says that you accept the obligation on and in behalf of the United States of America and hereby make an assignment of the obligations to the United States Department of Treasury. Anything associated with this debt, you're assigning to the Treasury. To be discharged, the way the law says it is to be discharged. This is what you're doing. This is what this document does. Ladies and gentlemen, it has taken 31 minutes to explain to you just the basics of this document. We haven't even gone into detail about the caveat and how the caveat protects you, and the caveat is universal, and that you don't have to go back and redo the caveat. You don't have to add anything because it covers everything the law requires for a caveat and a notice of arbitration. That's what this is. So your contract, now that you have it, is 10 pages, and it includes, pay attention, it includes arbitration. Now wait, hold on. It also includes, oh come on now, give me my, so I can read it to the people so they can see it, because right now they got that little creature in front of the screen. In a unanimous decision on January 8th, 2019, in Henry Sheen Incorporated versus Archer and White Cells Incorporated, Henry Sheen, the United States Supreme Court confirmed that the United States is a pro-arbitration jurisdiction that will honor parties' agreements to arbitrate, specifically where an arbitration clause clearly designates the decision of arbitrability to the arbitrators. The courts should have no say in the matter, even if they perceive the argument in favor of arbitration is wholly groundless. Doesn't matter what the court thinks, is what the court said. This decision provides clarity for potential despondents, sorry, I am tired, and is in line with the prior court precedent prohibiting the courts from reviewing the merits of a dispute when properly delegated to an arbitrator. We include that because nobody can claim ignorance. Ladies and gentlemen, did you get what was going on? The United States Supreme Court has said that this is your way out because the courts have no jurisdiction. See, before you had a debt, you owed a debt, they said that your argument was frivolous. Now, mind you, that's why you don't want to change this document, because this document has them agreeing to the facts, and you're supplying the facts, the code that they're supposed to go by. Remember, in their courts, they have rules, policies, and procedures that they don't have to go by the law. Even with the American Arbitration Association, their rules, policies, and procedures says they don't have to go by certain laws. The only thing that SAA, if you were to choose to go to an arbitration association like SAA, their policies and procedures say that they have to go strictly according to the terms of the contract, and that the contract cannot be unconscionable. Okay? That's what SAA's arbitration agreement says. So, it is our suggestion that you go back over this video and you go back over the video where it says that I am a genius, because I am. But you really need to take the information, understand what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to get rid of all that other junk that you've been taking in. Like I said, I don't read other stuff, so when people are adding their own point of view and what they want you to think, I don't pay attention to that, just like the Treasury. In another sense, because they are legal tender. Okay, what? In another sense? Why would I want to listen to somebody else's sense? Shouldn't we be going according to the law? If they're legal tender, you're saying it's according to the code. Oh, this would meet the requirements of Section 411 of Title 12. Okay, pay attention. Let's show you how they're talking about exactly what we're doing. Congress has specified that a Federal Reserve Bank must hold collateral equal to the value of the Federal Reserve notes. So they have to be backed by collateral. Pay attention. But didn't they say the Federal Reserve notes are backed by nothing? Hold on. Congress has specified that Federal Reserve banks must hold collateral equal to the value of the Federal Reserve notes that the bank receives. This collateral is chiefly gold certificates and United States securities. Really? Chiefly gold securities and United States securities? Gold certificates and United States securities? Okay, anyway. This provides backing for the notes issued. Ladies and gentlemen, we hold collateral that back up the SAT packs. Our collaterals are securities. We're doing the exact same thing. The idea that if Congress dissolved the Federal Reserve System, yeah, right, the United States would take over note liabilities. This would meet the requirements of Section 401 because they're redeemable through the United States Treasury Department. But the government would also take over the assets, which would be of equal value. Yes, but now they have to credit our account. That's what we're saying in our document. The Federal Reserve Notes represents a first lien on all the assets of the Federal Reserve Bank. Federal Reserve Notes represent a lien. That's what people have been telling you for years. This is where they're getting it from. This is the United States Treasury website. It's at treasury.gov. Okay? On all the assets of the Federal Reserve Bank and on the collateral specifically held against them. This is the Treasury issuing the notes to the Federal Reserve, and the notes represent a lien on all of the collateral of the Federal Reserve. So the United States is trying to say they protected themselves. Okay? But look at our government obligations. Okay? They fall under the exact same thing, but this is where we tell you the Federal Reserve banks obtain the notes from the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. They don't print the notes. The Federal Reserve doesn't print the notes, but they issue the notes at their discretion. All right. It says the Bureau of Engraving and Printing says the Federal Reserve pays them for the cost of producing the notes, which then become liabilities of the Federal Reserve banks and the obligations of the United States government. Okay? That's the deal they worked out with each other. So a lot of people have been saying things backwards. Don't know why. Then we got one more. Sorry. We're going to try to end this shortly, people. I just had one more thing that I said I was going to show you. And it is necessary for you to understand all of these points because these points are necessary. So give me 1 second. And ladies and gentlemen, I would go here and I would become familiar with this section right here. I would pull up each executive order, 6073, 6102, 6111, and 6260. And the report, we've already shown you the report, okay? But I would pull up each one of these and I would look for the information specifically, okay? Specifically. All right, I got some egg rolls that I need to go get myself a hold of because I'm hungry for some egg rolls. But we're going to go to Chapter 8. This is us-the-republic.com. Okay, and this is Chapter 8. Now, what we can do is I can go down and look for it, but watch this. We're going to... Okay. Now, the assets of the bank are the mortgages held by the people on their property. That's correct. But the people needed to be mortgaged also. That's correct. And it literally says that in the act. So let's find out and see that the people are mortgaged. The mortgages on property part is partially accomplished with this document here. The document says this because we pulled up the document. The ownership of all property is in the state. Individual so-called ownership is only by virtue of government, i.e. permission of government, law, amounting to mere user, and must be in accordance with law and subordinate to the necessities of the state. That's why the state can come and take your property. Look at the Fifth Amendment. No property may be taken except for with just compensation, which is why we're asking that if you're going to use our credit, then you need to credit our account. We need to be compensated. Pay attention, Fifth Amendment. People are not paying attention. Ladies and gentlemen, if we are using our credit to pay our bills, then we must be compensated. Well, you're receiving the goods and services. No, that's not compensation, because those things are already paid for. They're government obligations. They're not our obligations. They're the government's obligation. It's the government's obligation to pay the debt of the citizens of the United States. They've assumed that responsibility. When did they receive that? They assumed that responsibility. They assumed that responsibility in 1933 by the passage of the March 9, 1933 Act. You just read it. That's why it's an obligation of the United States. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Let me show you when they assumed the responsibility. Congressional record. March 9, 1933. Under the new law, March 9, 1933, the money, what money? Credit is issued to the banks in return for government obligations, bills of exchange. In return for government obligation, what's a government obligation? All of the people's debt, because they're in bankruptcy. Drafts, notes, that includes your mortgage and trade acceptances and banker's acceptance. The money, credit, will be worth 100 cents on the dollar. They are not talking about Federal Reserve notes here. Federal Reserve notes are not money. Money has value. Federal Reserve notes have no value. Okay. Anyway, 100 cents on the dollar because they are backed by the credit of the nation. Federal Reserve notes are not backed by the credit of the nation. They're not backed by anything. Pay attention. United States Treasury just told you that. It will represent a mortgage. What will represent a mortgage? The credit will represent a mortgage on all of the homes and all the other property of all the people of the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, are you telling me that the new credit system will represent a mortgage on your property? That's right. Because the government is issuing you your credit in exchange for their new deal, the bankruptcy agreement. It's called the New Deal. This is what's going on. This is what's been going on. But hold on, here's a problem. You don't understand. The new credit represents a mortgage on you. See, and all other property of all the people of the nation. People are property. That's why they're saying this right here. I didn't tell them to say this. They understood it the exact same way that I understood it. Okay? It says the assets of the banks are mortgages held by the people on their property, but the people needed to be mortgaged also. See? All other property, all other of all of the people. See, it represents a mortgage on all of the homes, and this is all because the all is still included, other property of all the people. Well, I'm my own property. I own my stuff. I get to do what I want to do. I'm free. No, you ain't. You've been mortgaged. So, ladies and gentlemen, how do you get that mortgage off of you? How do you get rid of a mortgage? Redeem it, people. Pay it off. How do you pay it off? Well, let me show you. Hold on. No, you thought I was going to that money order thing. This is how you pay it off. This is what we were doing. That's why you send a copy to the Treasury. The infant estate contract does the exact same thing, just without the payment coupon. But then we took that document and we reduced it to this document here, accomplishing much more because the infant estate document does not create an assignment. This creates an assignment. You're welcome. Have a good day, everyone. You can't be a genius without being a genius. And I'm sorry when I did the video that I didn't explain all of this in detail, but then that would have been almost a 3-hour video explaining every single detail. So you saw the places where we went to get the information. You can go to those very same places and get a better understanding. But again, a lot of people give a lot of opinion. You don't want opinion. I didn't give you my opinion. I told you what the law said. And those quotes that I quoted, that I'm quoting from those pages, That's right from the actual records of Congress. Okay, we've gone through that on video. There was no reason for me to do that here. That's your research. I want to thank you for taking the time, everyone. Sorry. I apologize. Just one more thing. So you can refer to the 46-minute mark of this video or 45-minute mark of this video to let people know that when you're paying a bill, after you fill out the document, like I said, you send the original, you keep. You sign it in both spots, you keep. You take the second document, before you print it up, you're going to label it banker's copy. Okay, you're going to rename it banker's copy. It's identical to the first one. The only difference this will have is you'll say copy at the top. Okay, you will make a copy, print it up. It's only a copy of the original, but you've labeled it something different on your computer. You created a folder for both documents, but you label this one banker's copy. It could be creditor's copy, banker's copy, but it doesn't matter. After you label that, you print it up, you sign it in both spots, on the check portion and at the bottom. Now you got 3 people you're sending it to. You're sending it to them, and you're sending it to the Treasury. No, you only have 2 people. So you send it to them and you send it to Treasury. What you're going to do is you're going to take that document, after you sign it in both those spots, and you have copy at the very top like we said earlier. You're going to put copy because this is a copy. The first one that you just printed up is an original. This one is the banker's copy. This is going to say copy at the top. You're going to sign it in both spots, and then you're going to take that one that you just signed. You're going to copy it so that both signatures are now a copy. Okay? And you're going to send one to the Treasury, and you're going to send one to the bank or the creditor. And then you're going to put your signature at the top where it says copy. Just sign your name. Sign your name across my heart. Anyway, you're going to sign your name. That's right. On the one you send to the Treasury where you put copy, you're going to sign your name. Why? Because it's an original assignment to the Treasury. You're giving them notification of payment, and you're giving them the assignment. Sign it, send it to them. Sit back and wait. If they do not answer all of the questions, every single question in the document that stands as a proof of claim, if they do not answer those questions within 10 calendar days, they are in default. With every single contract, all you're looking for is the default. You need them to not respond to the questions. You need them to not answer the questions, because the agreement is they will answer the questions, and because there is a relationship, this stands as unilateral contract, doesn't need their signature. It does not need their signature. Follow the law. If you want to know about unilateral contracts and who gets to send the unilateral contracts, look it up. Do your research. I already did videos on this, but all you have to do is understand restatement of second contract. All you have to do is have a prior relationship with the party, and there needs to be an obligation on their part to respond to you. Well, as long as you have an obligation with the other party, you have an agreement with each other, then there's a responsibility of each other to respond and communicate with each other. And if it's government, you better believe government has an obligation to respond to you. So just send them a copy, people. And if they don't respond, then you send them the notice of fault, opportunity to cure. Okay? Let them know it's your fault. You guys got a little bit of time to cure it, and you don't cure it, you're going to be in trouble. That's it. And then you can go from there. Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, I got to go. But I'm so glad that I had an opportunity to do this. I hope that some of you will pay attention to the information that was presented, because it was presented for your benefit. Have a good day, everyone. Goodbye.